Today I'm going to share some of the inferencing orchestration elements that I've been working on. I'm going to show you how I've been developing and using these components um, from for quite some time now. And these might be quite small in terms of overall impact into the future of generative inferencing system or the creation of the application that will let us to adopt a common way of orchestrating a productive inferencing system. But there's a bit of a pressure on my side to really see something that is usable for that, because I've just accepted a project that may require a bit of that system to come into play so that we can really motivate people to join in the effort of building the future of enterprise systems. So let's explore how my personal instance has been configured, creating the components that I think will be very useful into a generative inferencing ecosystem, even if it's just going to be a tiny part of it. So I have just put in this prompt exploring or giving it a proposition about job loss due to enterprise optimization by using AI. And one thing that you might have noticed is the response has been timestamped, which I think will be quite useful in the future when we need to explore the time and the context around the time that the response or the insights has been generated. So it gave us an affirmative answer that yes, this is a structurally plausible outcome of AI-enabled optimization, even when people are competent. And it gave the reasons. And as you can see here, it also generated the assumption audit from high confidence to low to medium confidence assumptions. And I should say all these assumptions are correct. So the reply that has been generated should be acceptable for me. And what's good about this response is it actually offered some options on how competent people should take a proactive posture so that they may not lose their job. I've already lost mine three years ago. If I have this AI 3 years ago, maybe that that may not have happened. But here we are. So it said, not learn AI tools in isolation. Many people can do that, which is true. What's rarer and stickier is being able to own a measurable outcome across an AI-enabled workflow. Makes sense, right? So it gave here examples of defensible contribution patterns, which I think these are all quite plausible. And it also acknowledges the organizational truth, saying that it's the uncomfortable part of it. And it gave me choices on how the conversation can be continued. Actually, specifically put it in the instruction to generate this. But I have something else in mind that I would like to send as a follow-up prompt. And so let's do this. And while waiting for an answer, I think what I would like to show you is how I'm going to manage this chain of prompts so that at the end, I should be able to generate something that can be useful for me in the future. The follow-up prompt that I have sent is this. So let me read it. But I also would like to propose that it's not a bad outcome by default. Because logically, AI should also be able to help on figuring out the new jobs, right? What companies we must build to serve new needs, thus creating new jobs then. And what has been generated is not too bad, although it's agreeing with me generally. It's not always agreeing with me, I can tell you. If I send a prompt in here that is very unrealistic, it will vehemently object. And it's even proposing what the clean model should be. AI reduces the cost of producing many outputs. When the cost drops, the set of things worth producing expands. That expansion creates new tasks, new roles, new firms. Makes sense, right? And it can make us quite optimistic, which I think it's it's really true. So it gave us what it thinks, what new jobs look like. It says first principles, not hype. So it's just reassuring me that the model is not hyping up anything on this. And let's take example number one. New demand unlocked. Things people wanted but couldn't afford before. Time, money, enterprise, expertise become accessible. I think that's correct. When we have more time, we have more money, we have more expertise, then we can naturally, collectively, new demands to make good use of our time, our money, and expertise will be unlocked. So let's explore further what it's giving us. So it's giving us some ideas on the most job-creating company types to build. But let's just see how the response is structured based on how I have configured the personalizations in my instance. And if you're interested on the actual content of this chain of prompt output, I can share it to you. Just let me know. And then, as usual, it is giving the assumption audit. And once again, I totally agree with all these assumptions. So we don't have to change anything, or we don't have to correct or adjust the prompt. And out of the three choices that it gave me, I think I will still give it another follow-up prompt from my side. Though it already mentioned it in passing about GFRS, let me be a bit more specific about this persistent idea that I've been inferencing for quite some time. And there we go. Let's just wait for the answer that it will give us. Because I do think that the very possible future when we have optimized the production of our basic needs, if we are able to focus on making the basic needs accessible to us by being a bit more intelligent on the way we manufacture those items, and as we may have improved, or we will improve, the logistics of distributing the proceeds of that optimized production capacity, then I think the future will require us to engage each other a lot more actively at the edge of generative inferencing, so that we can figure out a lot of other exciting things that we can do together. And so now we have our response, and affirmatively again, it said, yes, forming GITL on the edge is a plausible path towards eventually converging into GFRS. If you design it as a network of locally useful learning loops that can later federate via protocols, not as a top-down big system from day one. And it's talking to me as if we both of us understood GITL, which the whole meaning of it is generative AI in the loop, and GFRS, generative fractal resonance system, because I've been telling my instance about it for quite some time. And yeah, it's commenting again that no cheesiness, just structural. So it's just giving me the assurance that it has already abandoned the cheesiness that we used to generate together, because I can be a little bit cheesy sometimes. But I specifically ask the system not to be cheesy at all when it's generating a response. So it gave the core thesis, what GRPRS should be about, what should be the emergent layer when many edge loops, and how to build it, how to start, what to design first, and it's offering us what should be the resonance trigger. You get the first real GFR spark when two edge cells can reuse each other's rubric, transfer a playbook safely, and improve outcomes without sharing raw private data. That's the first proof of resonance. That's quite good. And again, the assumption audit, it's offering the practical next step, and asking if I want to generate a blueprint, protocol mode, or if I want the system to conclude. Let me try number 2. As you can see, I'm just typing number 2 instead of giving it a new prompt, because the system already knows that if I say number 2, then he should generate as per this number 2 that the system itself proposed. So here's the resonance protocol that it is proposing. We can read that later, but I want to do something else when it's done replying. So now I'm going to call for, it's taking time to complete the response. It's giving us the privacy modes, how sharing stays safe, incentives, why cells contribute, lifecycle and versioning, how artifacts evolve, minimal API surface, what we should implement first. And here it is. It is actually giving us the code. Maybe I think this is a code that we should use to implement it on an API. And the assumption audit and another 3 choices on how we should proceed. But I think it's a good time to call for a PIT. And it knows what I'm talking about, because I've already explained to it what PIT should be, which is essentially generating the insight tokens that we have gathered in this conversation from the first prompt to this point. So it generated PIT001 in this conversation. Competence is not equal to job persistence under AI optimization. Makes sense. Though I think it's not the first time that insight has been generated. So many people knows about that, I think. PIT002, displacement is not bad by default. And of course, as we have already explored a little bit based on the responses. Number 3, AI expands the feasible set of good services, of course. That's an insight that we have crystallized in this conversation, but it's also not that new. Job creation clusters into 4 buckets. Maybe that's a little bit new. What the 4 buckets are about. New jobs created by AI tend to cluster into unlocked demand. Okay. Infrastructure supply chains. That's cool. Exception handling plus accountability. Interesting. And human capability compounding system. Design, eval, adoption. I think it may have seen it somewhere, so it's not really that new. Number 5, EDGE GITL is a viable path towards GFRS. Yeah, of course. I will say yes, because it's my idea. And the cell definition that it proposed earlier, reality triangulation as validity metadata. So it generated a lot of insights, or it has identified a lot of insights in this conversation. But I would like to do something else to demonstrate to you how it can be quite useful. Oh, it actually proposed it by itself. So I intend to do this, but it's actually proposing it to score the PITs in terms of FNT, and then you will see what FNT is all about. So I will say I'm choosing its proposal number 1, and let's see what it will give us. So now it's offering FNT scoring rubric for F, which means fidelity; for N, novelty of its PIT; and T, translation, how readily it can be implemented or used operationally. With clear interfaces, testability, and minimal ambiguity. Overall portfolio score for fidelity, so it seems quite consistent to what's available in on the information that's accessible to the GenAI instance. But I think novelty is not really quite accurate, because I think it's not really that novel. Those insights are not that novel, but the score is quite high, 7.4. For translation, I think I can agree that it's quite high, 7.9 out of 10. But per PIT, it's scoring it like this, which I think a bit more realistic. 6, 7, 5 on novelty column. And fidelity, it's quite consistent from 7 to 9. And translation, it's also varying quite a lot. So that's how PIT scoring works. And I think I will choose option 3. And I will say cop-up. And it knows what I mean about cop-up. So it goes. It's generating the chain of prompts that is usable to orchestrate another chain of prompts, starting with the master prompt, and then it will generate the sections that can be generated, so that we can see a lot more insights about what we've been exploring on how we can deal with potential job losses and how new jobs can be created when we are able to adopt AI that we are dealing with in our current circumstances. So here you get the idea. You start with a simple prompt, give it follow-up prompts, and then see what insights has been generated, and then rate those insights in terms of fidelity, novelty, and translation across different potential applications. And now we are generating the chain of prompts, so that we can explore further the topic that we've been inferencing about. And after the chain of prompts, then I will request for the final output that can be reusable on the next session. So I will request for the system to give me, can you give me the UVT from this session, if any. UVT stands for unique value tokens that I can claim for myself if it really got any value, because UVT, it's supposed to be unique, attributed to me, and I can use it to iteratively generate more from the system or from this instance that I'm using. And these techniques and these inferencing components that I have created to make my instance quite productive for my purposes. I think these are reusable to generate the expanded ecosystem of inferencing, so that together we can create more value that compounds. And the more that we connect the unique value tokens that we are generating from individual instances to network of instances and to an ecosystem that can be orchestrated and managed, I think we can go far very fast, and we can avert any potential difficulties that this challenging era is giving us in terms of the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence and many other technologies that it is influencing, that may affect how we do things, how we earn our wages, earn our incentives, make money on whatever means we find for ourselves. And on that note, I think the future can be very, very optimistic. Thank you.